Welcome to Forward Focused. A top search right now on Google is Will Leadership Change in 2023? What does that mean and how does that apply to you? Let's dive in. So right now, a lot of people are searching, will leadership change in 2023? And let's call that what it is. When you're Googling something, it can be as simple as, how to change a flat tire to what's the difference between a Phillips or flathead screwdriver, right? It's typically things that we don't want to maybe put into the universe that we're asking because we just need a quick answer. Or we want direction on what might be happening. So kind of just going to give you my, first blush to this. And then we'll go into some applications and how it would actually apply if we're thinking about how to maximize our organization, maximize our output, and succeed at the highest level possible. My first blush reaction is this: leadership doesn't change. A good leader, a person of influence, somebody that you admire, respect, want to follow, right? That's consistent. That's leadership. Remember, leadership is all about helping people achieve a common goal. It's helping people rally towards something bigger than just any one person. And it's typically somebody that is effective at communication, creates a safe place for people to have ideas or thoughts or input, and it's received well. It's not just shot down immediately. It's somebody that empowers you to do your work at the highest level and to live your most balanced life, and tells you to head home to the family when you've worked late 3 days in a row. They pay attention to that, right? It's somebody that sees you as a whole person, all right? So that's my first 60 seconds, first blush. No, leadership is leadership. But let's go a little bit deeper. Why is that being searched right now? Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why it's being searched. If we go back to 2015, 2016, 2017, this country was going through, and still is in a lot of ways, a lot of uncertainty, right? There was political unrest. There was societal unrest, whether that's, Black Lives Matters movement or defunding the police. And then there was some social conversations around, abortion. All of those conversations are still happening today. The difference is, in addition to those, you throw a pandemic in there, right? And so you have the normal stresses of everyday life, of losing a job or trying to pay the mortgage or do your job at a high level while you're raising your family. And then you have some things that don't happen so often, like losing a loved one. Well, what didn't happen during the pandemic is for us to be able to grieve the loss of a loved one at a high level. I lost 2 grandparents during the pandemic. And the first loss, we celebrated him over Zoom. And only a certain amount of people were allowed to go to the ceremony. That was tough, right? The second grandparent I lost, we were able to get together and have a ceremony and do a memorial months after, because there was logistics to be organized, and we wanted to make sure we were doing it more in the summer, not the winter, right? There was all those things that come into play when you're trying to live through a pandemic, is my point. So let's go beyond that. I think people they're not certain that what they're doing every day is what's filling their cup. There's a difference between being happy or paid well and being at peace and fulfilled. I think there's been, this great resignation we've been hearing about, and over the last 24 months, more businesses and LLCs have been created in the United States than over the last 15 years combined before that. So if you think about people, they're looking for meaning. They're looking for a sense of belonging. They're looking for a purpose, right? All of those things, by the way, are what leaders should be doing in their organization anyway. Meaning, belonging, sense of purpose. So will leadership change in 2023? No. Yet I believe people will hold their leaders even more accountable for what a leader should be doing. And I think furthermore, I think some of the approaches that leaders take in their organizations are going to be scrutinized a little deeper. I want to do a tie back to a previous episode that we did, and then give you some things to think about. So the episode was called Level Up Your Influence. And if you recall, in that episode, we talked about the 5 levels of leadership and leadership influence. So this is taken from John Maxwell, right? The 5 levels of leadership. And the 5 levels of any leader in any organization are from positional, which is the basic level, right? The first level. I listen to you because you're my boss, right? And then there's pinnacle up top, which is I believe in the vision and the world that you aspire toward. I believe in the greater good that you're moving toward, solving, world hunger, for example. There's leaders within the Salvation Army that, believe that their mission as a company can help solve world hunger, right? And so that's a pinnacle belief. It's something that may or may not be achieved in any one person's lifetime, and it absolutely will not be achieved by one person. It's a group effort. It's systemic. Well, there's also permission, production, and people development in between that. And so permission is I'm giving you permission to lead me beyond the positional authority you've been given. Production is, wow, this leader's done a lot for our organization, a lot for our company. They've walked the talk in other roles or positions. So because of that, they have credibility to lead me. And then there's people development, which is just before pinnacle, which is this person's changed my life. This person's helped me be a better, mother or wife or partner. And also I'm managing my calendar more effectively at work. And I feel like I have a good balance, right? So there's clear tie down to how this person's changed my life. So that's just a reminder of positional to pinnacle and the layers in between. And so when you think about that, I would challenge you to first think this. Whoever the leader in your organization is, whoever that is, who comes to mind when I ask you, who's your leader, right? So that person, where would you rank them on those 5 levels? Would you put them at positional? You only respect them because they're a leader in the company you work for? Is it to pinnacle that what they're achieving or striving toward and what their message consistently is for the greater good of the industry that you're in or the world that you're a part of? Or is it somewhere in between? That's my question to everybody of doing an assessment of the leader in your world, right? If you are a leader, and I would argue that each of you are a leader at various levels, because leadership's not a title, right? It's influence. If you are a leader, how would people rate you? Whether that's in your church, whether that's in your business, maybe it's your family. How are you leading your family? So I think this is a very natural time of year as we're getting into the end of 2022 and moving into the next year. It's a very natural time to be thinking about, okay, what do I want to do differently next year that maybe I didn't achieve this year, right? And when it comes to leadership, what I'll say is this. You should be asking yourself on a regular basis in those 5 levels of influence with others, where am I at in influencing the people around me? And am I showing up as the leader that they need, deserve, and desire, right? But remember that leadership can be situational. You need to read the room. There's a story I remember of a leader showing up to a wedding and a funeral in the same weekend. And as they were reflecting on their weekend, there was laughter in both of those moments, and there was tears in both of those moments. So at the wedding, when they kissed for the first time as a married couple, there was tears of joy, right? And during the best man speech at the wedding, there was laughter, a ton of laughter around how they met and how this was going to be like a foundation to their marriage. The very next day was the funeral, and there were tears when they talked about the memory of the grandmother and the eulogy being given around the influence that she had on her family and the people around her. There was also laughter at the luncheon after about how one of her favorite things was going to funeral luncheons and how she thought they had some of the best spreads. And, she liked going to the luncheons and remembering the person, but eating the food. So in those examples, right, you have kind of 2 ends of the spectrum a little bit there, right? Starting a new life, marrying somebody, and beginning a new family versus the final chapter of life of passing on and being remembered and memorialized. In both of those cases, tears were shed and laughter happened, right? Yet the situation would dictate when it's appropriate to do that. You wouldn't just break out in laughter sitting in the church at a funeral, but you could do that at a wedding when the priest or the father makes a joke. So it's the same thing in leadership. Are you applying your leadership ability Are you applying your influence with the people in your organization? Are you doing that appropriately? Are you reading the room around, how your employees are feeling or how your meeting is going? If somebody just opened up about how stressed they are, balancing work-life balance and getting the projects done and the Thanksgiving holiday that's, in a couple weeks, whatever it might be, and then you as the leader say, great, so can I give you 3 more projects to get done this week? That's not reading the room. Effective leadership is understanding the situation and asking things like, so knowing that we have all these things going on, what can I do to help you? What's one thing I could take off your plate or better be clear with you on to help us hit our goal? Would it be helpful if you left early 2 days from now at 3 o'clock? Would that help you kind of maximize the other areas of your life you're struggling with right now? Those are the kinds of questions that I think employees and teams are going to be looking for and craving moving forward. The pandemic has been an accelerant, yet for a lot of reasons, I think people are going to be holding their leaders more accountable to leading them more effectively, to helping coach and manage them through these situations and not just direct them or assign what needs to be done. So the call to action is this. I encourage you to go back and look at the Level Up Your Influence episode. I encourage you to look at the 5 levels of leadership and ask yourself 2 questions. Where am I as a leader in my own world? How am I showing up for the people that matter most to me? What level would I self-rank me showing up for them? And then the second is the leader in my world. So whoever you think of when you think of a leader that's leading you, where would you rank them? And then have conversations with those appropriate parties around that and what you need for that next level to be achieved and how you can show up to achieve at a higher level for the people that matter most to you. If you do that between now and the end of the year and really think purposely about how you can be the best leader possible, I believe you'll have a more successful and powerful 2023 around maximizing your potential as a leader for you and the people that matter most. If you found value in today's episode, please be sure to subscribe so you never miss a lesson to become the leader that you deserve to be. And until next time, lead on.